Mayor Brown is truly a collaborative and regional leader. She currently represents Gallatin as a member of the Metropolitan Planning Organization. She is vice chair of the Regional Transit Authority. This year, she will be the president of the Greater Nashville Regional Council. She also currently serves on the Tennessee Municipal League, and she serves on the Tennessee Local Government Planning Advisory Committee and the Tennessee Development Authority. As you can see, she's very, very busy. But most importantly, Mayor Brown brings the values of faith and kindness to her role as mayor every day, where she truly works to advance practical, forward-thinking solutions for our city. I really believe this year highlights the wonderful job that Mayor Brown is doing. We have all seen her leading from the front throughout this entire pandemic, whether that's her listening at the protest or her Facebook Live COVID update. She's done an amazing job this year. Mayor Brown, we thank you for the incredible job you're doing. Please help me welcome Mayor Brown. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Walker, for that lovely introduction. I really appreciate it. I do appreciate all of you being here today. I'm sorry that we're spread into two rooms. I wish I could be in the other room. I told them in there, I said, this is kind of like a giant kids table in here. So the people in that room, they don't have to pay attention. I'll never know it. So, but I do appreciate the Chamber and Chef Chris for making the effort to keep everyone safe today. So I want to say good afternoon and welcome to our annual State of the City. A special hello also to our virtual viewers because we have some watching virtually. This is actually my 6th presentation to present, and it is quite unbelievable that this is my 6th. It doesn't seem like it could be, but probably not as unbelievable as this entire year has been. Before I begin, I do want to introduce our Gallatin City Council. I have no idea where they are sitting, so if they are in the room, I will ask them to stand. I am thankful that this group serves together at this difficult time. I'm proud that we work together, that we disagree respectfully, and that we represent our city well. I'm confident that we all want the very best for the city that we love. So I'm going to begin with introducing our Vice Mayor, Steve Camp, who you may not know is not seeking re-election this year. I'd like to ask you to recognize his service. I will mention that one of your active chamber members will be filling his seat. We look forward to having Eileen George join the council in 2021. Our other council representatives here include John Alexander, Steve Fan, Sean Fennell, Craig Hayes, Linda Love, and Jimmy Overton. Let's recognize them. Thank you. These folks do put a tremendous amount of time, effort, and energy into their service, and it is usually a mostly thankless job, so thank you. I'd also like to ask those of you who are here today who serve on any boards or committees for our city to please stand so we may recognize you. I'd also like to thank the Gallatin Chamber of Commerce for continuing the opportunity for the Mayor of Gallatin to present a State of the City address each year. I saw Rick Murphy earlier, and way back when, he and I began the State of the City address, way before I was mayor, and so I'm so glad that it continues today and that I have the opportunity to present to you today. Also want to thank Jeff Henschel. Wave your hand over there, Mr. Henschel. He does the hard work associated with this address, and I want to recognize that. I also want to thank all of our city employees who I think deserve our gratitude always, but especially this year. So if you would join me in recognizing them. And always the highlight of gathering for the State of the City, the food. I want to recognize Chef Christopher and Epic Event Center. They've done a great job with a COVID-safe meal today. So. And finally, I'll recognize that my family is here today. I know that they have endured a lot of headaches that my job brings to them, and I'm sorry that I've done that to you all, but I appreciate your support, and I appreciate you all being here today. And my brother's thinking of something really smart to say back. So when I think about this past year, it is hard. It's painful. It's been a tough year for everyone. The last 8 months have made for a challenging year for everybody we know. How would you guys describe it? Sad, hard, frustrating, confusing? There are many descriptions that we've all used. Some I probably can't say here today, right? At times, I've been completely numb. It's like I know I'm supposed to have all of these feelings, but I can't allow myself to because it would be too overwhelming. Can you relate to that? So anyway, this presentation today is largely about COVID-19 and how it's impacted us, our families, our businesses, and our city. The virus has certainly impacted us, our sense of right and wrong, our personal beliefs, our work, our technology skills. Along with other events of the year, it's increased a political divide. It's made us debate on what is accurate information and what might be exaggerated. And while we still don't know everything that we need to know about this virus, what is clear is that it has also revealed strengths that we didn't know we had. Throughout this presentation today, we'll review the challenges and the triumphs and the wins and the losses. It's been a wild year, but one I'm happy to say has truly shown that Gallatin and its people are full of grit and grace. The day that the virus in magnitude descended upon our city was one that put us in a horrible and unique category. What we experienced, no other city in Tennessee has, and few others in the country have, thankfully. On March 27th, the news erupted that 19 patients from the Gallatin Center for Healing were being transferred to Sumner Regional Medical Center.
That is heartbreaking, and our community is truly heartbroken.
Now I want to show you all the ambulances that we're seeing outside this Gallatin nursing home tonight. It's really
That's still hard for me to watch. The images of ambulances lying down the street, of patients being moved from the facility with emergency personnel in hazmat suits, was a shockwave that words still cannot describe. In a very short time, many Gallatin residents knew someone with the virus, or sadly, someone who died from it. Gallatin was national news, and we became an example in nearly every news story in the nation of the deadly effects of the pandemic in a closed environment to a highly susceptible population.
I would ask that our community and those around us pray for our patients and families and those who are caring for them.
I remember that things happened so very quickly. The news conference that you saw there was pulled together in the midst of several critical operations, as we knew that quick information was vital. It was unscripted and essentially off the cuff. That day, I had the honor and the privilege, really more than the responsibility in retrospect, to be with a team of emergency professionals at the Unified Command Post. Ultimately, the mass evacuation relocated 167 residents during a 4-day operation. Multiple agencies and disciplines worked on this effort, with 94 ambulances responding to our community from throughout Tennessee. We are so very fortunate to have Ken Widener, whom you see there, our EMA director, Greg Miller, who's the EMS director, and the amazing personnel from EMS, all of whom work together to determine next steps, create action plans, and yet still pray for those affected. The emergency response to this situation I would put up against much larger entities with far more experience. It was that impressive. I will stand with these gentlemen, our Sumner Regional Medical Center staff, and the EMS workers any day, as they deserve our thanks, respect, and admiration for their attention to this very delicate population and for what they do every day. Soon after this, the governor's and Sumner County Mayor's executive orders to shut down non-essential businesses and avoid social gatherings of 10 or more people happened. Unemployment skyrocketed overnight. Businesses shuttered and changed, and everyone struggled with the severity of the situation and the threat of contracting the virus. Everything escalated more quickly than we ever could have imagined. The city has not been exempt from impact, as you can imagine. We've adjusted operations and planned for still unknown fiscal loss resulting from decreases in sales tax revenues and property tax collections. Just like our businesses, we had to make new plans. We're unsure still if they're the right ones. As we never ceased operations or services, the city workforce has been victim to the virus. Unfortunately, we've had many employees become ill from the virus, but thankfully to date, we've had only a very few with serious side effects. We've run a city with revolving staff due to constant quarantines, yet trash has been picked up, offices have served the public, and everything has continued on track. To give you an idea of the city workforce's impact, at one point our relatively small codes department was operating with 7 team members quarantined. They worked from home voluntarily to avoid what they knew would create huge delays for their department and the investors in our community, completing inspections, issuing permits, and conducting plan reviews virtually. Public Works accounted for 1,726 hours of missed work due to the virus, which quarantined 36 employees. And since Sumner County cannot allow inmate worker labor at this time, our labor in this department has been reduced by an additional 320 hours each week. The Gallatin Fire Department had 5 COVID-19 positive results with significant exposure in June and July, quarantining a total of 30 employees. Staffing levels were modified to maintain service. In our police department, approximately half of the department was tested once for COVID, and several officers were tested multiple times due to work and personal exposures. Fewer than 10 employees have actually tested positive, and none have had serious illness there. Almost every department in our city has been impacted directly by the virus, unfortunately. To keep our folks and our citizens safe, some amazing efforts to keep things running were not likely noticed by the public, but were vitally important. Gallatin Public Utilities, Information Technology, and others have performed innovatively and creatively and honestly sacrificed a great deal to keep us functioning. Our IT department had about 48 hours to get our city council and other meetings online. It was a bit choppy at first, if you watch. There were lots of reminders to mute or unmute, but we managed. Zoom meetings, many of them simulcast on Facebook and our website, forced us to push our existing technology. The positive has been that more citizens are watching and engaging.
Really, all we was trying to make sure of was that I would be able to fill the shifts.
And do you know how seriously Gallatin Public Utilities takes protecting our water supply? Well, 6 utility workers in Gallatin did not leave the water treatment plant for nearly a month because of COVID. In an effort to maintain the 24/7 workflow at the plant, workers quarantine on-site in a bus, courtesy of All Access Coach, to whom I must offer thanks for this support and all that they do for Gallatin. As Chief Water Plant Operator Benny Baggett said, they expected the 97 model because they were begging, but they got the top of the line. In addition to the employee concerns, as you might expect, our budget quickly became a major focus. As things have played out, Gallatin is really in a fortunate financial situation, largely because we're not dependent on sales tax dollars from a huge retail community that was forced to shut down for many months. However, in anticipation of the unknown, we stopped all non-vital purchases and passed a conservative $38.4 million budget, projecting a loss similar to what we experienced during the recession. Our general fund operating expenditures decreased 1.28%, and our general fund expenditures decreased 5.33%. We did still include some capital expenditures. We did not raise taxes. We left the city's $7.2 million rainy day fund untouched. We did not lay off any employees, though we did not hire some of our seasonal employees, and we've kept all city services intact. Right now, depending on how our property taxes come in, we should be on track to meet our 2021 budget. However, we do realize that we probably haven't seen the full fallout from the pandemic yet. Our city workers have been exemplary in every way during these trials, and our community has been tremendously supportive of them. They recognize their sacrifice and their commitment, and so I am grateful to all of you for your support of them. But Gallatin's grit and grace is not just exhibited in those who work for the city. Its evidence is throughout our community's workforce. The employees of so many Gallatin businesses have shown unparalleled strength, flexibility, and creativity. You may recall that like a Voluntary Defense Production Act, several Gallatin individuals and businesses took the initiative to produce personal protective equipment when it was needed the most. Companies like RC10, Arcosa, Carrington Specialty Products, and individuals like Marcus Reed, sisters Heather Trudeau and Heidi Summers, Mary Garkey, and Lucy Blaylock of Lucy's Love Blankets took to 3D printers and sewing machines to make the PPE our healthcare providers needed. Unfortunately, our business community, with some notable exceptions, continues to be a tremendous casualty of this virus. We know that some will not survive, and that's heartbreaking because it's not any fault of the owners or the employees. After all, who would have dreamed that we wouldn't be eating in restaurants, that hotels wouldn't be used, and that retail would go almost completely online in such a short period of time? Some businesses have been able to find a way forward. I'm in awe of the creative ways that our local businesses have found to keep their doors open and to serve the public. But there are sad stories everywhere. One of those, with the greatest and granted most gut-wrenching effects, has to be Sumner Regional Medical Center. One of the first hospitals in the state to treat COVID, they've treated a majority of those nursing home patients in the first days of the pandemic. To date, more than 500 COVID patients have been hospitalized at Sumner Regional. CEO Susan Peach has led during this difficult time, and we ask her to share with us her thoughts on this year.
As most of you know, Sumner Regional Medical Center has been in the state of an emergency for the last 7 months. Our staff, our physicians, and our hospital has undergone a complete transformation during that period of time. We have initiated specific units for the care and treatment of COVID-positive patients. And we have a very elaborate screening mechanism where we evaluate each and every patient that comes into our facility. Our teams of doctors and nurses are really the heroes in this story. They are also dealing with what is gut-wrenching situations, very sad situations with patients who are not recovering from this devastating virus. They are also, on any given day, dealing with miracles where patients do survive. I'm wearing a mask today with this video. I want you to wear a mask. Please continue to wear your masks when you are out in public. Do not go to large gatherings where there are many people in confined space, especially indoors. And please, please wash your hands. Wash your hands every time you are out. If you're touching doors and touching other things that are in the public arena, please wash your hands frequently. And please help me help our healthcare workers stay healthy, stay alert, and be safe. Thank you.
In addition to asking you to heed Ms. Peach's advice, I'd ask that you share with me in congratulating her on being named the Tennessee Hospital Association CEO of Distinction for 2020. She and all of the staff at SRMC have endured extreme emotional and physical stress this year. I ask that we show our appreciation for their amazing care of our citizens. Another business that was hit hard this year was All Access Coach Leasing, which I mentioned earlier is always an amazing community partner. They never imagined that the entertainment industry would entirely shut down, bringing their business to a sudden halt.
We're able to keep the doors open. We have had to lay off about 22 people in our offices, in our mechanical staff and cleaning staff, things like that. It's hurt us to the point where, you know, we were fixing to build a new facility for our manufacturing, which has been put on hold. We were fixing to do another 100 by 200 building, which would just house our interior department and manufacturing side of the business. And that's on indefinite hold. We're not sure when that's going to come back.
But yet, this is the same company that donated $100,000 to the Miracle Park in just December of 19, supports the Sumner County Food Bank each year, and most recently sent an entire fleet of buses to Louisiana to help the hurricane victims. The event business has also had its doors shut without warning. Where we are now, Epic Event Center lost all of its events and catering jobs in the space of about a week.
COVID was tough. We went from full-blown, we were fixing to have the best year ever. With 2020, it was a great year for weddings and things, and we went from that to stop. We lost over 80 events in a short period of time. It was devastating for me and my family. Well, we switched gears a couple of times. First we had to-go meals because nobody could eat anything. And then we figured out we could do meats. I could do meat they couldn't sell at the grocery stores. We did it all. And then, of course, we did Epic Eatery, this restaurant. It has been booming. It's been one of the blessings we've had so far out of all this. So we're seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. We're seeing that. It's where the community has stood behind us. You know, every time we've called the city, whether it's the electric department, the water department, the mayor's office, not once did they say no. So we've always been givers to this community. It was really hard for us to ask for favors back. And of course, everybody jumped in. The community's all behind me 100% right now, and we really appreciate that.
What can I say? We love Chef Christopher. But there are countless stories much like these throughout our community. What is encouraging and heartwarming is the response to our struggling businesses like Chef Christopher mentioned. Another example was the prayer parade conducted for Sumner Regional Medical Center and Sumner Station. A notice that was prepared for this event asked the community to show love and support for those on the front lines of the battle against COVID-19 and to pray for them and the patients. I want to say that the Gallatin Chamber has certainly rallied during this year. They have been a lifeline for our business community, supporting it in multiple ways. Early on, their website, Open in Gallatin, was created to help attract customers and sales for retail and restaurants. My frequent partner in a lot this year, Kim Baker, used live feeds on social media almost daily to share important information and often inspiration. The Chamber also created the Pandemic Pals program, amassing 250 volunteers to help high-risk citizens, garnering even a mention in People magazine. Finally, Baker and Brown was launched this year with Kim, a show that you can watch online that features local and current events. And if COVID was not enough for our world to handle this year, social unrest erupted. We all witnessed what happened across our country following the death of George Floyd. Cities everywhere were experiencing protests, some of which turned destructive and violent. Citizens were definitely divided and oftentimes very intolerant of each other. In June, Gallatin had its own protest. Thankfully, we experienced no violence in our city. The event, though, was not an easy one for police or for this mayor. But as law enforcement, leaders, and citizens, we were absolutely there to listen and support everyone in our community, regardless of their opinion. Many have forgotten or don't know this, but racial unity is a big part of why Gallatin was named the nicest place in America. In order to continue to own that title, we have to be honest, open, and treat each other with respect. I am absolutely confident that our Gallatin Police Department and the rest of our city government does just that. In fact, you might be interested to know that our Gallatin Police Department has had no complaints of excessive force use and only 7 general complaints this entire year. I am so very appreciative that we are in a city that respects and appreciates our police officers. Our Gallatin Police Department this year has received tremendous support. Donations, pizzas, donuts, gifts have become a regular occurrence at GPD, and our officers have definitely felt the love of the city they serve. Of course, GPD does do their part to earn this support. In response to the inquiries and questions received this year, they've reviewed their policies and procedures and worked with their officers to ensure that they continue to serve our citizens well, all the while participating in multiple prayer vigils, COVID birthday drive-bys, and parades. As for our crime numbers, the pandemic may have had an effect because during the height of the shutdown, we saw approximately a 25% decline in calls for service. Crime numbers and traffic accidents are both down in the past year, not up, as some consistently claim. It's particularly satisfying to me that our total crimes are down 15%. Our crimes against society are down 29%. Statistics also showed sizable declines in other areas. Even better news, though, is when you look at a 10-year average, there is a definite downward trend, which is a huge positive for Gallatin and a testament to our Gallatin Police Department. I'll add this, too, that just last Friday, we received some good news that will further enhance our police department service. We've been awarded 2 grants totaling $1.3 million to help better serve the members of our community with mental health and substance abuse issues. So no one will say it's not been a hard year, But amazingly, almost miraculously it seems at times, in the midst of the sadness and the chaos and the heartbreak, a lot of good things have happened too. It almost feels disrespectful to talk about the good, but I do think it's the right thing for us to do. I believe that hope helps us hold on and look to the future, and that these positive things are a bit of a reward for the perseverance so that we can focus on them in good conscience. This year, one young man from Gallatin received some attention for his invention, reaping an investment from the stars of the popular TV show Shark Tank. We're very proud of Maddox Pritchard. And this one is just for fun, but when things got a little crazy mid-year, I personally received a little gift of encouragement that I'd like to share with you.
Mayor Paige, just know that you are doing amazing, and don't let anyone tell you different. If anybody wants to tell you different, give them my and they can take it up with me, because you are doing an amazing job, and I love you so much. And make sure to eat more Cheez-Its on an everyday meal.
And I know some of you are thinking, who is that? Well, her as she says, is Honey Boo Boo of Toddlers and Tiara fame. And the genesis of this is not important. I just wanted you to have a moment to laugh. But on a more serious yet very happy topic, construction of Gallatin's Miracle Park has continued. Right now, the playground looks like this. It is amazing. We're all looking forward to the opening of this $1.6 million playground, ball field, and pedal park designed for all kids of all abilities, opening in the spring of 2021. And it may sound like we're stretching to find some good news, but trash pickup has been a source of pride this year. It's something we're proud of because we've kept up with our pickups while working through COVID and experiencing substantial growth. I want my Hendersonville friends to take note. We've missed no pickups. In Gallatin, we added 937 new cans to our routes, which now include 15,374 cans each week. Recycling has also increased dramatically, as you can see. 13 tons more plastic, 45 tons more paper, and 22 tons more glass have been collected at our Long Hollow Recycling Center this year, where we were excited to give some of our bins a new look. Thanks to a grant from the Bonnaroo Works Fund, Public Works entrusted local mural artist Brian Deese to paint 4 recycling bins with messages like Gallatin
So
Strong.
I think the message is strong, just like Gallatin. We are Gallatin Strong. It's something we've been advocating for at the Chamber, for our business community, especially during these uncertain times. And together, we are stronger. We're much stronger together than we are divided.
United and a Frosty bin followed. A final one was painted by art students at Gallatin High School. Community art, wherever it is in our city, is a wonderful touch, even if the canvas is as unusual as a recycling bin. And while we're on the subject of cleaning things up, contamination of one of our creeks has been an issue for a while. The Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation is embarking on a long-term cleanup effort to remediate contamination that seeped from an old underground petroleum storage tank near Town Creek. While not a hazard, the odor has been an issue. This will be mitigated by injecting activated carbon and nutrients into the soil to absorb the petroleum. Our stormwater division, which, yes, is paid for by your stormwater fees, has continued to work on water issues in our city, completing more than 200 projects in the last year. Improvements like physically installing and maintaining culverts, cleaning ditches, laying riprap, and in coordination with the engineering division, reviewing drainage designs and inspecting new systems to keep our stormwater runoff draining as efficiently and as cleanly as possible. Now, I know roads are always an important concern, and I'm glad to tell you that this year we plan to resurface 7.7 miles of city streets. That's more than a mile more than we did last year. And in case you don't know, we have all of our streets graded and prioritized annually so that those with the greatest needs are paved. Here you can see a list of the streets that have been paved this year already, along with those slated for upcoming work. One of the projects that I'm really looking forward to is this improvement in our downtown. Our crosswalks. We know it's hard to see pedestrians on the square. And those signs that are in the middle of the road, we at the city affectionately call them the little green men, you know, the ones that get run over almost daily. We know they're not really helping. So they're going to go away. And the city is installing lighted crosswalk systems that provide a flashing notification to drivers when pedestrians are crossing. This project is not cheap, estimated to cost $132,000, but other cities have reported that the system is both reliable and effective. Now, while a fire is never good news, our fire department's response to a hard-to-fight fire was. The Gallatin Marina fire this year was a big fire. On July 9th at 3:30, our Gallatin Fire Department got the call of a boat on fire. Upon arrival, Battalion Chief Mark Jenkins reported dense black smoke and as many as 4 boats on fire. Initially, there was difficulty getting water hoses to the location. Threatened boats were released into the channel to prevent additional losses. The fire was contained and extinguished 2 hours later. In total, 7 boats were lost, 3 were damaged, and a dock sustained moderate damage. As bad as that damage was, it could have been worse without the exemplary teamwork between our Gallatin Fire Department, the Hendersonville Fire Department, Sumner County Emergency Management Agency, Gallatin Utilities, the Gallatin Police Department, and several helpful citizens. Good news for our Gallatin Fire Department is that they were able to upgrade their rescue equipment this year. GFD replaced extrication equipment with innovative battery-operated rescue tools that are lighter and more maneuverable during an emergency than the hydraulic ones that they had used for years. You'll also be glad to know that the fire department is currently working toward an Insurance Services Office, better known as ISO, 2020 reassessment. The assessment creates a rating for a fire department, calculating how well equipped they are to extinguish fires. The ISO rating directly affects your homeowner's insurance. GFD currently has a rating of 4. It is our goal to attain a better ISO rating of 2 during the evaluation. Gallatin Fire did see a slight dip in April in the number of calls responded to, but this year overall was slightly up compared to last year. On the economic development front, much has happened in spite of the virus. Many businesses have opened their doors for the very first time. Several even took the shutdown as an opportunity for increased investment and reinvention. Where we sit now, Epic's Event Center is a great example. As you saw in the interview with Chef Christopher Newton earlier, they've created a new dining experience called Epic Eatery. In case you don't know, it's across the courtyard and it is fabulous, so you better check it out. And just recently, we gave a beautification award to Chubb's, which laid off all of their employees only to hire them back to paint every single brick on the outside of that once orange building, which made me very happy. Anybody relate? In our industrial park, Dns Industries, a veteran-owned company relocating from New York, broke ground in August. They are constructing an 81,000 square foot facility to manufacture proprietary high-tech materials for the aerospace, automotive, and medical industries. Another New York-based company began construction here. Archer is a technology startup business building a multi-million-dollar data center. The company plans to lease space at the facility to multiple tenants simultaneously. Archer chose Gallatin because of, quote, the area's rapid growth of data-intensive industries along with an educated workforce and ample access to economically competitive renewable energy. As a result of this project, the Gallatin EDA helped Vol State and the Greater Nashville Technology Council launch a new expedited IT apprenticeship program that will guarantee at least some of the graduates a job upon certification. And after 3 years, Woolhawk, which this character represents, it was the code name for the project, finally happened. It was Project Woolhawk, and it was revealed in August to be none other than Facebook.
Facebook will be investing more than $800 million in the Gallatin community.
Facebook will become the largest revenue stream in the county.
That means over 1,000 construction jobs taking place at one time and over 100 people that actually will be working for Facebook for many years to come.
We had talked about diversifying our employment opportunity, and this is truly the direction we wanted to go.
We found the right infrastructure, access to renewable energy, and really a great pool of talent.
We're going to be building one of the most advanced, energy-efficient data centers in the world in Gallatin. It's going to be supported by 100% renewable energy.
This $800 million data center represents a success in our shift of business attraction goals for Gallatin. We wanted massive investment in our community, high-paying positions with a limited impact on our population. Interestingly, this project was the 3rd largest construction start in the entire United States in August. This project is a big deal because, in the words of someone who used to work for Facebook that reached out to me with congratulations, he said, "It doesn't get any better than partnering with Facebook. Knowing the various hyperscale players like I do, Facebook's focus on community will be an excellent fit for Gallatin. You realize that in Gallatin, it's not thousands of jobs that we're seeking to attract. It's IT, corporate headquarters, and advanced technology, because those are the companies that will help our local economy diversify and remain strong and support our citizens' prosperity. A huge infrastructure project for our city has continued throughout this year. The Albert Gallatin Avenue extension on the north side of town is moving very quickly. This $36 million project will provide a direct route from Northwater Avenue to Highway 109. It will divert approximately 12% of through traffic from downtown. We expect the section from 109 to the intersection at Blythe Street to be complete by next July, and the final section from Blythe Street to Northwater to be finished at the end of 2021. There are other smaller road projects that are planned, in process, or recently completed. We're also experimenting with traffic calming measures to reduce speed and cut through traffic in certain neighborhoods. I'll admit that the many roundabouts, if you live in that neighborhood, have not been a home run. Nick Tuttle, our city engineer, agrees.
Thanks, Mayor. I really appreciate that. Yeah, we're out here on the south end of Belvedere Drive right now. We've been working through a challenging problem with our traffic calming program, and right now we're on the south end of Belvedere where we got some temporary speed bumps installed, but just about a month ago we actually had mini roundabouts in, and we've had some good feedback and some bad feedback on both of these, so we're hoping to try to get a consensus from the neighborhood and move forward in about a month's time. So hopefully we can make everyone happy, but that looks like it's going to be a tough chore.
Yeah, you're not ever going to make everyone happy, but I'm going to ask y'all, people have been cutting through Belvedere and Peninsula my entire life. Please don't. Give these people a break. So this year, you've definitely heard all about the 2020 census, and Gallatin has gone to great lengths to help us get an accurate count. From banners and recipe cards to tokens and frisbees and even a new kiosk, all almost entirely paid for by special census grants awarded to the city. Our social media has been filled with efforts that might push the envelope a little bit in an effort to grab people's attention and get them counted. Our federal funding for schools, healthcare, streets, nonprofits, and much more is determined by these numbers. We were very concerned about COVID-19 impacting our response rate, which was at 68% before census workers began door-to-door work. The uncertainty and delay in field surveys added to our anxiety. But at the close of counting this month, which was the 15th, the Census Bureau reports that we are at a 99.9% completion rate. So we will take that and we will anxiously await our official count. Of course, we don't need the census to know that Gallatin is still growing. Our building permits from last year say it all. Permits for 845 new residences and 48 commercial buildings were issued at a value of $185 million. And here's the reality, the way that I see it. We are going to continue to grow. Not as fast as we've been growing, I hope, but we are going to grow. I, like many of you, wish that we still had some of the pieces of yesterday, but I've also been here long enough to remember the problems of yesterday. The situation that we're in today is this, in my opinion. People from all over this country see Tennessee as a better way of life. They like our opportunities, including our tax structure, our policies, our politics, our cost of living, our four seasons, and our close proximity to much of the rest of the country. Once they identify Tennessee as somewhere they want to relocate to, they look at Middle Tennessee, largely because it's close to Nashville, and they study the area. Guess what? They find Gallatin. We have a lake, we have housing options, good schools, an airport. We're financially stable, and yes, we were named the nicest place in America. So they choose Gallatin. Well, herein lies our conundrum. Who's the last person in? When do we close the door? And the answer is that we can't. If we don't have available housing, the result is fewer housing options for our adult children and grandchildren who may want to move back to Gallatin, or for our downsizing parents or grandparents. And we can't limit home sales to only people who are from here. To me, our community dies when we can't accommodate our very diverse community and continue to attract the younger generation. So we do that in two ways: providing a variety of housing options and creating new and better opportunities for our residents. We do that with better jobs and higher wages, like the ones I've mentioned already. coupled with educational opportunities through our public schools, our colleges, thank you Welch College and Volunteer State Community College, and the area TCATs, which are our colleges for applied technology. Gallatin is growing and it is changing, and that's hard because change is hard, but it's not bad. It does not mean that we can't still be an amazing, warm, welcoming, and caring city full of charm and character. But to properly plan and balance this growth, we're nearing completion of a new long-range plan, appropriately named Plan Gallatin. In recent years, we adopted a strategic plan, as you know, and the comprehensive plan update will set the stage for our city's future development. For this, we've hosted a series of workshops, we've had small group conversations, we've put out a number of surveys, and soon we're going to be having a draft plan that we will review prior to adoption. Another part of our strategic plan that came to fruition this year was the Community Satisfaction Survey. The statistically valid measure of our community made me both proud to be a part of our city government and gave me several areas of focus for improvement, which is its purpose. In all, I'm happy to report that most respondents indicate that they're satisfied with the city, which in all honesty was a relief to all of us with the government. There are good priorities for improvement that we will focus on moving forward. Those include traffic flow and congestion management. That was not a surprise. Growth management decisions, quality of city streets, and quality of the city's stormwater management system. But on the positive side, several of our responses actually forced an alteration to the benchmarks that this company uses for communities across our country. Because, and this is just an example, our city ranked 29% above the U.S. average in our quality of customer service, which is certainly a credit to our employees and our department heads. As I've said, this year has certainly shown us a lot about ourselves, and it has shown us who the backbone of this city is. It's not me, it's not our council, it is absolutely our city employees. You probably know from your own experiences in business how difficult it has been this year to manage people and their different opinions, fears, and perspectives about the virus and its impacts. We've not been any different. I'm so very proud of our employees who have kept working and have taken care of our city. I'm especially proud of our department heads who have executed the difficult task of managing employee sensitivities, juggling available workforce, encouraging people, and protecting their safety. Our department heads have jumped in with both feet this year, putting our city and their employees first, and have done whatever had to be done. I am honored to introduce to you now our department heads, and I'll begin with our police chief, Mr. Don Bandy. Our Parks and Recreation Director, David Brown, and those of you who are in the room, do stand. James Fenton, our Economic Development Director. Connie Flood, Director of Human Resources. Connie Kittrell, our City Recorder and City Judge. Susan High-McCauley, our City Attorney. Our Planning Director, Bill McCord. Our Chief Financial Officer, Lori Smiley. Our Finance Director, Rachel Nichols. I've gotten those mixed up, I apologize. Building Official, Chuck Stewart. City Engineer, Nick Tuttle. Zach Wilkinson is our Superintendent of Public Works. Victor Williams is our Fire Chief, and not technically a city department, but important too is Mark Kimball, General Manager of our Gallatin Department of Electricity. I would ask that you join me in recognizing this outstanding group of individuals. And yeah, I did leave one out intentionally, as he's going to get some special attention this year, because after 50 years in the industry, 40 of which were with the city of Gallatin, Gallatin Public Utilities Superintendent David Gregory, you better stand, will retire in January. David? David has built an incredible utility for our city in his time here. Always looking to the future, the city of Gallatin has water and sewer capacity that other cities dream about. He has planned ahead from his first day, and he will, I know, until his last. I want us to say thank you again to David Gregory. You're going to be missed, my friend. I'm not going to cry. Okay, it's interesting that in 2015, we debuted our branding campaign that included the slogan, True Grit, Amazing Grace. It was a tagline from the surveys of residents, stakeholders, and leaders in our community. We did not know it then, but that attitude about ourselves has proven to be a very accurate portrayal. In 2020, we've come together as a community amid the fear and the reality of COVID, uncovering the true fabric of who we are in Gallatin. In Gallatin, we are strong. We are Gallatin strong, and we're not afraid to show some attitude. We can be hit harder than any city in Tennessee, and yet we're more prepared to bounce back, determined to be even better than before. Social distancing, we can do that unlike anyone else. And Amazing Grace, we're a community rooted in values. We support each other. We are a great place to work and raise a family. And then there's the grit. Whether you are on the front lines caring for patients, producing PPE, working at a convenience store, building or paving in the summer heat, constructing bridges, or moving forward with a new restaurant, we make things here in Gallatin, and we make things happen. 2020 has been revealing, because in spite of the heartache, it's revealed much of us as individuals and as a community. We in Gallatin have powered through, innovated, grieved, and taken care of our own. The virus is still here, unfortunately, and we must remain vigilant. But we will continue to do these things, and we will be closer to each other and better and stronger as a community when we're on the other side of this terrible time. It really is my honor to represent this wonderful city, and I thank all of you who participate, support, and love Gallatin. We are all standing on the shoulders of those with the brilliant minds and giving hearts and generous souls who came before us. Generations of people better than me, but like many of you to whom I look up, worked for a better city for their children and grandchildren. Now we're working together to shape the future that we will leave for ours. I look forward to continuing to serve the city in 2021 and ensuring that our city is among the safest, smartest, healthiest, and friendliest small cities in America. A city that embraces its history and its character while investing in its future with kindness, faith, and integrity. I thank you all for caring about Gallatin, for working to perpetuate the spirit that exemplifies our city, and for loving your neighbors. I love all of you, and I wish God's blessings upon you, our city, our state, and our nation, today and all the days ahead. Thank you all so much.